See you later.
Okay, so welcome to another episode of Manchester SEO podcast. Today we've got Annabelle.
Yeah, hi.
Annabelle has a company called Fresh Copy, ghostwriting, copywriting services, and very good, as we know. Tell us a bit more. Well, tell us about you.
Yeah, all right, where shall I start?
How did you get into copywriting?
Okay, thank you for reining me in. I sort of fell into copywriting. So I started my own business in September 2020 because I had lost my job. Was made COVID redundant, which is fun.
As I was.
Yeah.
Well, that's not strictly correct. It was just before COVID.
Okay. Oh, God,
Yeah.
fun. So I was made COVID redundant. It was like the maddest month I had. Like, we got married. I was pregnant, didn't know at the time. Found out shortly after. Lost my job, started my own business, and I set up as a VA.
Right.
So, that time everyone was online. I was like, okay, so I've had a potted history.
Yeah.
I had lots of different jobs. Like, what could I do? Set up as a VA. Did that. Was busy, which was good. But I wasn't a good VA. I was
Right.
not the best. I'm not the typical process. Like you want a VA to organise you. I'm not an organiser.
Right.
I'm that classic creative ideas. So
Yeah.
I stumbled through. And one of my clients asked me to write some blog posts, some press releases, some emails, and I was like, okay, cool, and I did more of those, and then I was like, I actually enjoy this, and I can charge more. So I was,
Always helps.
yeah, so I was like, I like this, and I'm good at it. I think I'm getting better, and I can earn more. So stumbled into copywriting that way. Was, I suppose, mediocre for a long time. Probably, arguably, still there. But along the way, I've since past 6 months or so niche down into ghostwriting as well, or having the two strands.
Yeah.
So now I work with founders and CEOs and people that have a point of view and no time to share it, really.
What's the difference with ghostwriting to...
Good question. I mean, they do sort of cross over. So copywriting typically is getting someone to do something. So it's helping push a sale. It's helping convert someone to do something. And I think a ghostwriting is more like brand building. So, we can get you those speaking gigs, we can get you those book deals if you've got a platform, if you've got a following and a reputation.
Sure.
Now, if you're someone who's then got that following and you want to launch a digital product and you need a sales page for it, you need a copywriter. So they can do that.
Yeah. They'll require the same skill, don't they? Being able to engage people.
I think so. I mean, they're both very ideas. They come from ideas. So everyone talks about copywriting, you have to be a great writer. Well, actually, you have to find ideas. You have to know which are the ones that will be hooking, or interesting to people, I should say.
Okay.
But I guess ghostwriting is pulling those ideas from someone and putting them into the written word, and then copywriting is building on that and then making it persuasive.
Yeah. Is there anything from... I mean, I think we're fairly similar, where we've had a range of jobs over the years, from kind of 18 onwards, where there's probably bits of those jobs, no matter how far away from what you do now, that you can bring into what you do now.
Yeah.
What would you say the jobs that you'd had previously, which ones
are applicable today?
Yeah.
Almost all of them, really. So I worked in recruitment for a bit. I wasn't very good at that.
Right.
I've got a blog. It's the jobs I got fired from. That was one of them.
Yeah.
That was really great sales training. So that helped prime me to not be bothered when people reject you. I was like, this is not a personal thing. It's just how life can go. So I think that gave me a really good basis for being able to just push through something that's difficult.
Yeah.
I sold presentations for a bit, which is super niche.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the corporate businesses of this world, so the Siemens and the HP, will go and pitch for these big deals, and we would, at this old agency, design the presentations for them.
Right.
And the way that we got these deals is we go in and we present to them, be like, hey, we do presentations. So I remember in one of these pitches I'd give to these board of directors, I was sat and they were all sort of there, and I was absolutely shaking. And that feeling when you're like, I actually want to leg it out of the room. I might just go. It was proper fight or flight. And so I didn't, thankfully. But just pushing through that, that helped me become a bit of a better speaker. I know we all have our good days and bad days, but that sort of gave me those skills. So, I mean, so many things.
Recruitment. I always talk about recruitment because I was in recruitment for a bit.
Okay.
I fell into it after university.
Yeah, sure.
And struggled to get out of it for a while. But the transferable skills for running a business, like say, how to communicate to people, because you're doing so many conversations every day, you can gauge really from the tone of voice or how they're speaking to you as to whether they're telling the truth or not. I found a bit of a superpower over the phone.
Yeah.
I don't even have to see people. I can just from that I could tell that, and others organising your day properly, and something that I rebelled against massively.
What, structure?
Yeah, yeah. At the time, but I actually use it now to.
Yeah.
So there's so many in that I think is managing clients and people and all that.
Yeah.
Definitely huge. So, what did you do? Did you go to university?
Yeah. I went to university in Sheffield for 3 weeks.
Right.
And then I left. I'd done an art foundation previously in Stockport, which was amazing. It was like the best course ever. It was loads of fun. And then I went to Sheffield and I was like, oh, I don't like Sheffield. No shade on Sheffield, I was just being an idiot. So I left, and then I went back to Stockport College, and luckily there was a degree there that I could just jump back into, which was photography, which, I know. I loved that, actually. I would not do that course if I was 18 now, because obviously just so much has changed. And it's a lot of debt to learn a skill that I don't use. But hey, I think that's pretty true of a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, massively.
So and I've not really used that skill since.
No.
Well, I mean, I suppose we take pictures every day, don't we?
Yeah.
But I find, like, of my many different jobs, like I was a makeup artist for a bit, obviously did the photography thing and that writing, they all fill the creative bucket. Do you know what I mean? They all give me the same sort of thing.
Creative mindset.
Yeah.
I find that there's being able to see, sounds very arty, doesn't it? The beauty in something, whether it's even, whether it's a picture of a building or writing about a podcast episode which you did for us recently.
It's all a point of view, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah. What did you study at uni?
Computer science.
Oh yeah, jeez.
I know. And I had enough of programming by the end of it.
Yeah.
It took me a bit longer than normal because it wasn't really natural. I still don't know really why I did it. It's one of those things where I think back and I was thinking about doing physiotherapy or something like that. And then I'm starting a course doing computer science about a month later. It just feels like that in my head.
Is it useful? It's sort of connected to what you do now.
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing... There's elements of it that, that are very, very useful now.
Yeah.
And then the experience within sales and software and all that kind of stuff, moving up to it has meant that I can do this job.
Yeah.
And from a technical perspective, I can talk to developers and I can talk to clients.
Yeah, you can speak the language, right?
Yeah. That was always... People hired me for that. They didn't hire me because I was good at anything else, really. But I could talk to people and...
It's an important skill.
In different levels of technical bullshit,
Yeah. Sure.
But this isn't about me.
Sorry, I'm used to interviewing people. Yeah.
So you did that, and then what came next?
Oh my God! I mean, I've literally had so many jobs. I wrote that blog post about all the jobs I've had after uni.
I mean, it's the most entertaining blog post I think I've seen.
Thank you. Yeah. I worked in a wine shop actually for years.
Yeah.
Which was amazing.
Yeah.
Because I could just do what I wanted, and I mean, it was long shifts, and it was like they paid you nothing, but you worked in a wine shop, so you get to drink wine in the back, and wear your own clothes and listen to your own music. And if you're an 18-year-old, like, what more do you want, really?
Yeah.
So that was good. And then we were talking about it before, weren't we? Talking about wine and water and stuff. Nice water. You start tasting the nice stuff and you understand it, and it was cool.
Yeah.
So I did that for a bit, and then because they paid you like £5 an hour or something, maybe it was less, then got into recruitment.
Right. Okay.
Because my mum is or she's not anymore, but she was a sales trainer for recruitment businesses. So she was like, you want to earn some money, you should get into recruitment. I was like, yes, sounds amazing. So did that and then all the other jobs. But I think one of the key things for me these days is not, I think the reason I've gone so, I was going to say off-piste, but I'm quite direct and out there on socials, because I don't want to be that impressive corporate person. Like, it's just so exhausting. And I don't know if you found the same, like working in these quite traditional environments. You know, you were expected to look a certain way and sound a certain way and do a certain thing, and it was just exhausting trying to fit yourself into that box.
Yeah.
So now I've rebelled.
Conforming to,
I will never forget.
it's, I mean, it's one of those things where there's so much noise on, let's use LinkedIn, for example. I always stop in your post because there's something that makes me laugh. Well, it's different because whether it's a swear word or what, I don't know, but it always, because that's kind of my mentality as well. And it's a joy to see someone else do it, because I've got the balls to...
Well, I'm just a one-person business, you know.
But it's that what makes someone stop scrolling. And, you know, it comes into, you know, how can you stop them scrolling, then how can you engage them to continue reading? And that's what copywriting and...
I suppose I've got an advantage in that sense. But I mean, really, like, I'm not trying to be outrageous. I'm just not trying to be impressive. And that honestly, like, for so long, I was like, I have to... It was exhausting because I always felt like a bit of a weirdo. And, like, to put on suits, I was just like, I'm just pretending, you know. So it was just, like, to get through the day, just pretending to be normal. And then, you know, like, let alone impressive, was exhausting. So now that I don't try... I tend to find my people better. And it's good because people that don't want to work with someone who's a little bit out there just opt out. And that's a beautiful thing, because neither of us would want to work together.
Makes the decision very simple.
And then they're really fun to work with as well. So, you know, a good time, which is, I think, key.
So, moving on a bit further forward, you've got children. 2 kids. I'm interested in the parallels of being, you know, full-time mum and trying to bring money in as well, and starting up a business, keeping it going. How have you found it?
Really, really, really hard. And I'm really honest about it, because I think, you know, certain things need saying. I think for so long, I mean, to be fair, I think nowadays we're more honest. So I was chatting to my mum about this last week. You know, back in her day, you wouldn't really talk about, like, how you hated your kids, or, you know, swear about things. And I don't hate my kids, but, you know, some days I do. And you would try and, again, try and be impressive, try and have all your shit together, and it's just it's impossible. So I think, like, for mothers, I mean, I speak mainly about motherhood because it's my experience, right? But I think for parenting generally, you sort of end up, I think, especially for mothers, rebuilding your identity after you have kids. Because you've housed this kid for 9 months, you give birth to them, and you have to, like, you know, start from the ground up again, because you're redefining, like, what does work look like? What does parenting look like?
What do you look like? You know, as in, like, who are you?
100%. And it's kind of liberating, but it's also really hard. So, I think there's a lot of shame still surrounding, like, you know, the shame that we put on ourselves, trying to be a certain way, trying to hold it all together. But thankfully we can be more honest about it now and say I'm struggling, or but I find that, like, I was saying to you earlier, both our kids are now in, like, school and nursery 5 days a week. So I now have my week for the first time ever, which feels like a real milestone. And now I miss them. And I've been waiting for years to get to the stage, and now I'm like, oh, I wonder what they're doing. And, you know,
is there guilt around them, around your time and things like, not so much now, but before, where you kind of... I know lots of working mums that feel guilty because they're not spending all the time with...
No, I didn't really have that, because I think Andre works, so we have a shed office at the bottom of the garden called the Shoffice. So we're both there since COVID. We're both there all the time. So, you know, we work next to each other on a table, which is comical in itself, just with headphones on, ignoring each other.
Yeah.
So we've both been around the kids quite a lot, and, you know, our littlest has just started preschool, so we have been around and not had the long commute, so we have had a lot of time with them. So no, not guilt in that sense. I think just guilt in like wanting to be better and losing your shit, you know, when a kid has a meltdown, and you feeling stressed out because you're trying to manage freelancing and, you know, your client's not paid. You don't come to work just with a blank slate every morning. You come to work perhaps having had 2 hours of meltdowns over like shoelaces, you know. So I think the work hasn't started at 9 o'clock. The work started the moment you wake up.
I always find kids know there's an instinct knowing that you're struggling and they're going to do something to put you over the edge. Just that little bit, you know.
It's an energy, isn't it?
They're obviously feeling it from you, and it affects them, but it's there's never calm when you want them to be calm.
No. We went to Next. I don't even know if I should say this. We went to Next yesterday to buy Andrea a suit, and my littlest wet the floor in Next. And then my Lily ran over and slipped in that and hurt her knee and started crying.
Oh dear.
So yeah, I mean, I would have loved them to be calm in that moment, but that was wild.
There's so much going on there.
Let's unpack. Yeah, we can move on from that. But it's been the best thing and the hardest thing. And I don't think you could ever explain someone who doesn't have kids, and that's not to like say, you know, not having kids, I respect everyone's opinion and choices, but I've never learned so much about myself since having kids. Like it's been like quite an eye-opener. It does push you. I think mentally, especially if you've not slept and you're you know, still having to do your job and do it well. Or attempt to. Exactly.
Okay, so when it comes to the work now, what are the benefits to a business owner in terms of a CEO if they were looking to use a ghostwriter? What would be their pain points that, you know, they're trying to solve? What would make them give you
Why would they?
call?
Why should they? I spoke with someone last week who is a CEO of a business, and he's like, I talk so much about things that are important at work, and everyone's like, oh, that's so great, you know, you demonstrated this leadership, we really like respect what you talk about, but you're really quiet online. Like, you don't share anything. Now, I don't think that you have to have a personal brand to be successful, but it sure as hell helps. And so if you're someone who wants to get speaking gigs, be on podcasts, you know, publish a book, you're a lot more appealing as a prospect if you've got that following and you've got that point of view.
Sure.
So it is really about sort of enhancing their reputation to be able to enable them to do ultimately what they want to do.
Right. Make them more valuable to... I was listening to and I can't remember which actress it was, which kind of... My stories have a lot of things I can't remember.
Yeah, me too.
The point was that they felt guilty about getting a role for a film because there was someone else they knew later on down the line that they felt was a far better fit for the role, but she had 20 million more followers on Instagram.
The person who got the gig.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I spoke to a comedian who is struggling with that same thing. He was looking for more online exposure, something that he's not happy about doing because he's you know, himself, he doesn't like it. So, but he found like opportunities on TV started to go, and went from someone who appeared on Mock the Week quite a lot to nothing, and trying to come to terms with the fact that I've got to do something because they also want me to push what I'm doing so it sells the film or the TV show or the comedy
pressure,
gig.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know whether I can argue that's right or wrong. I think,
No, but I can see that it makes you more important.
As
a person, and if you're the way I sell this sometimes is, you know, if you're becoming a thought leader in your industry, then more people know and it opens up more opportunities to you.
Yeah, 100%. It makes business sense as well. Like if you're a publishing house and this person's got however many followers, you're like, oh, well, there's our audience.
Yeah. That'll sell books or...
Exactly, yeah. Something, I always talk about Daniel Priestley to you. It makes me laugh because I'm like such a fangirl, but I am a bit of a fangirl of his. And he talks about like, because he's got his book, Key Person of Influence. I feel like I should get affiliate commission for it. The amount of times I've recommended it.
What's it called? Key Person of Influence?
Yeah, so he's obviously Daniel Priestley's got, yeah, completely joking. Yeah, Key Person of Influence.
Yeah.
And he says like, if you're worried about feeling like you've got to be a certain way, you know, you're not in the spotlight, you're the spotlight, you're putting the focus on things that are important to you. So that's quite a good reframe for people that are like, oh, I don't want to talk online.
Yeah.
So it just takes the pressure off. And certain things do need saying.
And it's one of those things, there's so much restriction on people, especially maybe yourself in terms of, you know, political correctness and you know, getting cancelled and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
We once had a guest say to us, trust you, but don't get me cancelled. When we were editing the thing.
Oh,
so.
God, don't get me cancelled. It's a real worry, isn't it, I suppose? Yeah.
It was a joke, but, you know, you have to go close to the wire sometimes. But it can, I can't remember even the point I was making, but you have to...
Yeah.
If you know, I don't know.
Yeah, about being in the spotlight.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But I think on the spotlight point, on the being cancelled point, I think you've just got to be willing to be wrong and to learn. And, you know, like people that are, like if someone's starting to like have a LinkedIn presence, for example, and they're like, oh, I don't know, you know, you might get someone in the comments who will put you right, and that's okay. Maybe it was something you needed to learn. I've said things and deleted them, not because they were particularly controversial, but then you know, in the moment after, I was like, oh, should I have done that today? You know, something's happened. Was that sensitive? Whatever, it's all right. We can fix it. We can move on. We can learn.
We sometimes have I have messages from George going, there's a spelling mistake but it's on purpose to get more engagement.
Oh, right, okay.
And there's a tactic that people do, you know, on a video where you might have a title, but you spell something slightly wrong, and people love to correct, and it just...
that's so funny. Oh, that
makes
me feel a bit...
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was a point to that as well. I don't know. These... podcasts tend to go on me rambling about things that I find interesting with no point to them whatsoever.
Okay. How I talk anyway.
But I mean, it's an interesting point, isn't it? In terms of if you're a really successful person and you're running a business or multiple, you're time precious, aren't you? You know, you're short of time, and perhaps working on your own presence is something that you need help with.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, they've got lots to say and no time to say it. It's generally one of the things I was like, yeah. No, it's really true.
And what would you say your, you know, the general way of working with those kind of people is? You know,
it's quite simple because I like to keep everything simple. I don't want to overcomplicate things.
No.
Typically with the founders that I work with, I have a call a month.
Right.
I try and keep it fairly light touch because of their time pressures. And it's a Zoom call or an audio call, but I have a transcription going in the background so that I can capture their tone of voice, because the words that I use will be theirs, because I can't just riff on mine. It's their voice and not mine. And that's a real key point, because I think, you know, people say, like, when they see my stuff on LinkedIn, perhaps they're like, oh, I like your tone of voice, and that's fantastic, and thank you. But if I was to write for someone, it wouldn't be, you know, as blunt and direct, unless they're like that anyway. It would be them speaking. So it's that phone call with Zoom, the transcription, and then, you know, I can either send stuff to sign off or I can schedule it directly, and then we just catch up at the end of the month and see how things have how they've done, how we can iterate.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's great. It sounds like a really useful tool to have and to be able to use.
Thanks.
What we talk about technology and how that's changed. There's a definite theme with everyone we've spoken to: copywriters, sales, social media, SEO, and we all come back to the buzz thing in the last 18
AI.
months, which has been AI.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on AI?
Yeah. I love it. I use it every day.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me 18 months ago or 2 years ago, I might have been like, oh my God. Like, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And I think lots of people felt that way. I think those people that felt that way have either still feel that way, won't engage with it, and they will lose out because of that, or they've changed their mind on it, have tried it, and have been like, actually, yeah, I can see this will help me a lot. I use it every day. I use it for transcribing my interviews. I use it for ideation. I use it for research. I use it to test frameworks on LinkedIn. It will still be sometimes completely mad. But, that's on you to edit. I mean, I think if you're the type of person that's like, I'm just going to go and be like, write me an article on clean energy, it's going to be awful because you've not put anything in.
It's copy and paste. Yeah.
And then if there's that little rocket emoji and then there's unlock, there's certain things that give it away, isn't there? You've got to edit that out. So if you act like the editor, then I think, these tools can be really, really cool.
Nathan, our copywriter, he can pick it out a mile away because there's certain words that he says they're used by AI a lot. And, one of the things that we've spoken a lot about is that there's not really competition for good content online when it comes to AI. It's more, it's more siphoning out the more average stuff that's out there. And so it's become a bit of a positive in SEO because Google and all these search engines are good at just identifying mediocrity and letting it go.
Yeah, right, okay.
So like Google's got green energy targets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they're going, well, if your page is rubbish, it's not getting any traffic.
Yeah.
We're just going to de-index it.
Yeah.
And so we don't have to deal with it, and we don't have to use all our power and service to an infrastructure on it, and we save a bit of energy.
Yeah. Okay,
it makes perfect sense,
full
doesn't
circle,
it?
Yeah.
So if you're creating really good content that, as you say, reflects that person and speaks natural language and is satisfying what people are looking for, interested in that topic, then, and you're adding to that ecosystem with what you're doing, then it becomes a lot easier to rank high for things.
Yeah, okay.
I think
good to know.
I think it's the use of AI as a tool to enhance what you do.
Yes.
Is really how things how good ones do.
I think if you don't embrace technology, you get left behind, don't you?
Yeah.
I think it's my job when I speak with someone to be able to pull out the key themes and to question. And sometimes that means you ask the question and then you ask it a different way because you've not got what you need. Right. And that's something that AI perhaps in the future will be able to do, but there's still things that I can get that it can't.
Yeah.
So it's obviously still lacking that human element. I don't think it could ever be. Maybe I'll be wrong.
Well, that's how you identify it, I think, isn't it? I mean, I hope it doesn't know what's going on in my head, but not yet anyway. But that's what makes people individual. Yeah. And that's what sells to people. Which is why I kind of started all this is so that business owners like yourself who we like and think are good, we can get on and you can talk about you and how you work and why. I think that's far more compelling than anything else.
Yeah,
really.
yeah. Agreed. And I do think there's a real opportunity as well. Like again, I keep using LinkedIn because that's the platform I'm on most of the time.
It's a business platform, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's still such an opportunity there because there's still so much crap content out there. And then you see people just regurgitating the main point back on someone else's and it's just so boring. Yeah. So I do think there is a real opportunity to sort of cut through and be a bit different. And again, it doesn't have to be shocking outrageous, but it does have to be you. Yeah. So I think finding that tone of voice and finding out your unique point of view and getting clear on those things can only stand you in good stead.
Someone that does something, it's like talking to a very good cricketer who's just very good, never had to think about why and the different bits, and trying to ask them what makes a good cricketer. or good batsman, and they go, I don't know, just am, you know. But with that in mind,
Yeah,
we're a bit obsessed with what makes a good piece of content.
okay.
And there's the
Yeah.
question
Yeah,
for you.
okay, delivered in a roundabout way.
What kind of aspects of content do you think it needs to be interesting and good?
I suppose it depends what you want it to do. So if it's like a sales page for someone, if it's like a very expensive thing that you're selling, maybe it's like high ticket coaching or something that's a couple of grand.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to create desire. So you've got to hook someone at the top, you've got to talk to their pain points, and then you've got to quickly pivot to how it will help them change and transform. We always talk about transformation, right? And then you need proof. So then you need your testimonials and those sort of case studies. Right. And then you need to keep building again the argument, you know, how this is going to change their life, So, you know, in that context, a good piece of content needs lots of different points that talks to their pain and their where they want to get to, the desired place, right?
Yeah.
A good piece of content for a LinkedIn post might be, you know, we want to use storytelling. We always need the hook, you know, that bit before we see more. That's always got to be strong. And sometimes I play with shorter and longer sentences and just to see what converts. But we always need the hook. And then you do need to use some storytelling. So a framework's good, you know, how I achieved this, how I went from this to that, you know, all these different sort of frameworks are helpful. But I think using that personal storytelling bit in the middle of the post is helpful. And then a call to action. So, you know, we always want to tell people what to do. And if you're just starting posting on LinkedIn, you still want just to build a bit of awareness of you, the person, then you don't always need to send someone to a newsletter. But if you've captured a load of attention and got a load of engagement, it seems a shame to just lose that. So, we need a hook, we need some storytelling, perhaps a lesson, and then something for someone to do.
Yeah. Whether it's
That's a really
newsletter. No, but
it does depend on the situation.
It does. And you're right, it depends on what the purpose of it, what's the end goal.
Yeah.
And it can be just send me a message on here. Or,
it doesn't have to be this super fancy thing. Like often like the quick and scrappy thing works.
Yeah.
God knows I've done that enough.
See a lot of YouTubers and they go, you know, we've got this giveaway for anyone who likes this. This, I'm like, Jesus, that sounds like far too much trouble. Not for the people just to like, but for like...
For them to do.
Yeah. Someone who's got like 1.5 million likes and you're like, what are you doing to yourself? Why are you creating this much work for you? And are you even doing it?
Yeah, some questions I don't know. That does,
Okay, so you run your own business.
Yeah, just about.
Just about. What are the main challenges, do you think, for you? For freelance businesses in general?
I think structuring your business in a way that gives you profit. So being profitable, and for me, and I think perhaps a lot of other freelancers, not getting sidetracked by shiny syndrome. So, you know, you've got to stick at something. If something's working, you've got to rinse and repeat and build on that, rather than be like, I'm going to now do this model, or I'm going to change to this membership, or I'm going to do this, you know, because it's just, you know, obviously your resources are limited.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm not really good with numbers. Like, I probably could do better in terms of like how I structure things. I think a struggle that a lot of self-employed people or service businesses struggle with is like starting every month from zero. You know, I think if you're doing that, which I, you know, sometimes do, it's a struggle, isn't it? You know, every month you're sort of back, right? And actually, like, having had that sales background, I kind of like the challenge. I'm like, all right, okay, let's see what we can do. Like, it sort of terrifies me and motivates me. But I think there's smarter ways to do things than that. But I think that's a real challenge.
We had George Clark on from City Lock and Safe, and his advice was find out what works for you and just repeat. You know, be relentless, I think.
I kind of like that. Yeah,
find out what works and be relentless. I know he's very happy about that quote, but it really makes sense.
Yeah. I heard something that I believe in, or I resonated, that was like, you know, don't try and focus on your weaknesses, just double down on your strengths. And I think that's so true, because like, I'm not going to spend time learning about accountancy. I will just pay someone else to deal with that, because like it's just not a good use. I'm never going to be great at it. So why not just get great at, you know, capturing someone's voice or capturing attention or converting people with copy, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm into that.
Do what you enjoy and the rest will follow.
Yeah. And, you know, if it's a highly paid skill, and happy days. And if it's not, perhaps someone else can do it.
I think that's why I went into computer science, actually, going back to that.
Oh, yeah?
Because I'd read in a paper that there was a developer in London who's on £1,000 a day.
You were like, boom.
In 1998, and I was like, having some of that.
Yeah.
And then realised this programming malarkey was more difficult to my brain than I thought. But so I do this a lot today, where I just completely forget. I mean, it's been a long week, but anyway, find out what works and do what you do.
Yeah, I think so.
Get other people to do what you're not good at.
Yeah, and I think that's quite hard, isn't it, for most people to like relinquish control and let other people do what you've tied your reputation up with. Like it's, I mean, I don't outsource my writing work, but if there's other bits that are like admin related, 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do you see any challenges in the future for copywriting and ghostwriting in general, or your business personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge, like I said before, with the AI bit, I think those copywriters that will never embrace it and be like, it's the devil, it's this, like, I think they'll get left behind.
Yeah.
I think the really junior ones who are focused on content and volume might struggle. I think you've got to educate yourself. I think if you can find, you've got to sort of stack your skills a bit. So, you know, if you're, you know, there's a reason perhaps I'm here today, and, you know, you want to get better at speaking, about interviewing, about, you know, perhaps becoming a full stack marketer, you know, these things will help stand you. I keep saying stand you in good stead, like I've never said that in my life, but these things will help you. So, yeah, I think that's a challenge.
We had Simon Spurrell on, who he talks about himself. He said, well, I'm my biggest marketer. I can do my own PR, and I do it till I'm blue in the face, and that's what builds the businesses up. And you know, it's that relentlessness of it. But is there anything you were surprised about that when you started working for yourself, that you didn't realise? You know, things that you really enjoy that you'd be difficult to go back to if you were...
I mean, I don't think I can go back to like being fully employed. I think I've basically made myself unemployable now, because I just enjoy the freedom and flexibility so much. No, I don't know. I've not found like a hidden like skill. I'm like, oh, I love this. Like I do genuinely love writing, and I love like speaking with clients. Like the ghostwriting bit has given me access to some really senior, smart people that I learn lessons from every week. Like people pay to do that, and I get paid for it. So that's amazing.
Cheat codes.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't really know, and then it also like helps me like interview better and you know, so on. I've forgotten your question. Surprising lessons. I think I don't have a niche, so the thing that I've been sort of feeling out recently is that like if someone's a good person, they've got a good energy, if they've got a good service or a good product, like we'll probably work together. But the thing that I'm really strict on is having good boundaries on how people treat me. So like previously, like in previous jobs, I might have felt like disrespected or like not very important or not very good at things. So like I won't work with someone if I have to chase an invoice twice. Like I'm just not doing it. And like if someone isn't responsive on emails, or if they don't post the content that I've created for them, I'm like, why are we doing this? So even though like who I work with is wide open, my boundaries are actually pretty tight, and I think that's something that isn't a surprise, but I've sort of really leaned into recently, and it's been working.
That's the thing for me. I think for something to work, for the service you give to a business, it has to be a two-way thing. Yeah. We've had it recently where you send a message trying to get a meeting together, either face-to-face or online, where you can talk about the strategy and who's approving what, and then 3-4 weeks later you get an email back going, oh, we're not seeing any inquiries increase at all. You know, what's the strategy? What's going on? I'm like, this isn't how I work.
Yeah. And it's about being seen as a peer as well, isn't it? It's like, it's sort of redressing that balance a little bit. It's like, you're not up here and I'm down here. We're working together. And I think everyone feels better about that. I mean, people are busy. That's fine. But, there has to be a mutual respect there.
If you want someone to do a really good job for you, if you don't want the waiter to spit in your drink, treat them with respect.
Yeah. Basic life lessons. Yeah, I know. Yeah, 100%.
That's a great analogy. Oh, cool. Keep that one.
Yeah. That's the hook.
So, I mean, that's quite a big thing, actually. When you're talking to a business, you're discussing what kind of personal business do you want to work with? What are the main key factors in people? Like you said,
Yeah, it's a good question.
Positive, communicate well.
Yeah.
Pay their invoices on time.
Yeah, like rich and communicative, basically. I mean, I joke, but yeah. No, I mean, I think, communicative. I think clear on the outcome that they want. And I think open to feedback but I mean, so am I. I don't say these things and be like, this is how it should be. I take direction pretty well too.
Sure.
But yeah, I think, if they're a little bit silly or, funny, lighthearted, like life is ridiculous, let's be honest, like ridiculous things happen. So I think if you could be someone who is, all right, you might be running a serious business, but you can also laugh at yourself. I think that's always really endearing and better to work with.
I was cleaning my teeth this morning. I was thinking it'd be really funny to have like a spoof SEO blog where you talk about the funny things that happen. And then I thought it was a really good idea at the time. And then I'm driving on the way thinking, well, I think I can think of one blog we could do about that. And that's about it, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they spare other ideas for that, but yeah.
But then having that as a way of, okay, well, you could then create backlinks to what we do, because it's based on that.
Yeah.
And perhaps a comedy spoof idea is not the worst thing that we've ever come across.
I don't know, it's the worst that could happen. Delete it.
It's so true. Get cancelled or something.
Yeah.
Don't name clients. But it's funny, actually. I since starting the business, the people you meet and the stories you hear and the support and the I think most business owners are similar thinking. The ones that last, you collaborate well and you support other businesses and you try and create that ecosystem. I think that really works.
And you wouldn't know that if you didn't put yourself out there. If you didn't go on these like networking things, or if you didn't, share things online or meet people in real life. Or Zoom, whatever.
Well, we met on a Stockport walking networking that you set up. I think it's a great idea where you can all get out from the office.
Yeah. Thank you.
Talk and and support people. Even just to chat with people can be.
It's just so laid back, isn't it? I mean, it couldn't have it any other way. Yeah, it's been one of my favourite things. Actually, there we go. There's a surprise. I think me and Amy set it up because we recognised Stockport was having a moment, and we wanted to go to some networking that wasn't like just BNI.
Yeah.
Or overly corporate. Just that meeting people and having these conversations and getting out. It was the thing that spurred an idea, helped fix this email that I didn't know how to send, all these just little things, or just being able to talk to someone and be like, yeah, me too. It was just so nice, and it is so nice. So that's growing slowly, but to be in Amy, it doesn't matter if it stays small. It's just a group of people that we really like and are mates now. So it's good times.
Yeah, it's a great little group. I really like it. Thanks. So if someone was God forbid, listening to these podcasts. What? How would they find you? Well.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate the plug. Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm fairly frequent. I'm on there all the time. Yeah. And also on my website as well. So.
That's freshcopy.co.uk.
Yeah.
We'll put the links on the episode. And thank you for coming to join us.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Nice.